Welcome back to a different opinion. I hope you guys have been enjoying the content. If you have, please leave a like. Just subscribe if you want to see future videos as well. Or comment me with your thoughts. That'll be the best thing ever. Is I'd love to hear people's opinions back on what I was just talking about, etc. So with this one here today, it is Joe Biden, and just kind of pointing out how out of touch this guy is, and I just don't know how he's running the United States, in my opinion. It really kind of baffles me. This guy is running the most powerful country in the world at the moment. So I'll jump straight into this one here. This is just about what he said about Taiwan today. Earlier on today, this is from 20 hours ago, from BBC News, from Tessa Wong. Biden vows to defend Taiwan in apparent US policy shift, because obviously the policy doesn't say that it can technically militarily physically help Taiwan. They can obviously sell weapons and things like that, but I'll jump into that. US President Joe Biden has warned China is flirting with danger over Taiwan and vowed to intervene militarily to protect the island if it's attacked. That's even if he remembers saying this. This guy is like, I don't even know if he can remember anything. Speaking in Japan, he appeared to contradict long-standing US policy in the region, although the White House insisted there had been no departure. Obviously, the White House always just has to cover his tracks, don't they? Whenever he says something stupid, they're like, no, 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 that's not actually what he meant. That's not. And in the mainstream media, it's just like, he didn't mean that. Obviously didn't mean that. It was just a gaffe. It's fine. That's just how expected gaffes are from this president, is that they literally think it's a gaffe without knowing, is it actually a gaffe? Is it the truth? And why are gaffes so widely accepted? It's ridiculous. Mr. Biden drew a parallel between Taiwan and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, prompting an angry rebuke from Beijing. He is on the first tour of Asia as US president, visiting regional allies. Good start to his trip, obviously. Mr. Biden prefaced his remarks saying US policy towards Taiwan has not changed, but his comments in Tokyo are the second time in recent months he has unequivocally stated the US would defend Taiwan if China attacked, in what he has seen as a change in tone. The US has previously been vague on what it would do in such a situation. China regards Taiwan as a breakaway province that must be reunified with the mainland. Beijing's foreign ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin insisted Taiwan is an undeniable part of China's territory. There's no room for compromise or concession. This is, unfortunately, there's so many wars that seem to happen these days. Is parts that used to be part of a country in a long time ago, and now they're their own country for many years, widely accepted by many countries, I should say, not by everyone. And now they want to kind of take back that land, and it just starts a war. You'd think we're past that point. We'd think you'd just make the most of what land you actually have right now. But we'll see what happens. The Taiwan question and the Ukraine issues are fundamentally different. To compare those two is absurd. We once again urge the US to abide by the One China principle. The US has no official diplomatic ties with Taiwan, but sells arms to it as part of its Taiwan's Relations Act, which states that the US must provide the island with the means to defend itself. At the same time, it maintains formal ties with China and also diplomatically acknowledges China's position that there is only one Chinese government. So the Taiwan Relations Act. So military provisions. The Taiwan Relations Act does not guarantee the US will intervene militarily if the PRC attacks or invades Taiwan, nor does it relinquish it. It's its primary purpose to ensure the US Taiwan's policy will not change unilaterally by the president and ensure any decision to defend Taiwan will be made with consent of Congress. The Act states that the United States will make available to Taiwan such defense articles and defense services in such quantity as may be necessary to enable Taiwan to maintain sufficient self-defense capabilities. However, the decision about the nature of quantity of defense services that America will provide to Taiwan is to be determined by the President and Congress. America's policy has been called strategic ambiguity and is designed to dissuade Taiwan from a unilateral declaration of independence and to dissuade the PRC from unilaterally unifying Taiwan with the PRC. It pretty much just gives what they're trying to say is technically United States can't just go and intervene militarily. It is wrong in the international sense and in the international court sense, but it does give the freedom to the president, the sitting president, and also the Congress to actually decide if they can change that or not. So that's why they're saying it's a bit of a middle ground there, and they can actually go both ways. Just in case if you don't really know what it is. And obviously Taiwan used to be part of China many years ago. But obviously China says Taiwan is not its own country, and they never have said that. But I'll jump back into this now that we kind of went over that one. What did Biden say and why does it matter? Mr. Biden was answering questions in Tokyo during a press conference with the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida when a journalist asked them about the defense of Taiwan. The US president began by directly linking the China-Taiwan situation to the Russia invasion of Ukraine. There was a rapprochement eventually between Ukraine and Russia, and sanctions were not sustained. Then what does this signal to China about the cost of attempting to take Taiwan by force, he asked. They are already flirting with danger right now by flying so close, and all the maneuvers that they are undertaking, Mr. Biden said, referring to increased reports of Chinese warplane incursions into Taiwan's self-declared air defense zone. He added that while my expectations is that it's a Chinese invasion will not happen, it'll not be attempted. At the same time, it depends on how strong the world makes clear that that kind of action is going to result in long-term disapprobation. I think China will eventually do it. They are patient, so I don't know. They might just wait for the right time. And if anything, probably with Biden there, it is probably the right time, to be honest. He was then asked directly if the US would defend Taiwan militarily if China invaded, when it has not done so in the invasion of Ukraine, and he responded, yes, that's the commitment we made. Wow. Which is not actually the commitment they made. This dude just doesn't know what he's talking about. That the idea that Taiwan can be taken by force is just not appropriate. It will dislocate the entire region and be another action similar to what happened in Ukraine. It took the US State Department only minutes to start walking back Joe Biden's comments. This is not the first time that he has said he would defend Taiwan. It will be an expression of his deep personal disquiet about the Ukraine invasion and the prospect of something similar happening in Taiwan. In March, he did something very similar when said Vladimir Putin cannot stay in power, forcing the US officials to swiftly deny America was calling for regime change in Moscow. When asked about it later, Mr. Biden did not back down. He said, expressing his moral outrage at what Putin was doing. Today, he seemed to be saying, I won't let that happen to Taiwan. The official position of the US government in Taiwan is strategic ambiguity. The US doesn't commit to defend Taiwan, but it doesn't say it wouldn't either. This is supposed to keep China guessing. But as China has got stronger and the threats of Taiwan more real, there have been voices calling for an end to the fudge. Former Japanese PM Shinzo Abe recently said it was time for America to be clear to Beijing and say it would defend Taiwan. Others think this is a really bad idea and could provoke Beijing into accelerating its plan to retake the island. That's also what I think. I mean, you poke the bear enough, it's going to react, right? So there's no point in trying to say these things, especially how strong China feel about that Taiwan is theirs. You know, they have said in the past they would, like, if anything, anyone tries to take any region off them, they will fight for it. So privately, many senior officials in Washington and Tokyo are extremely worried about Taiwan, about Beijing's growing military advantage, and they are fumbling for a new strategy to deal with the threat. I'll jump into the next one here. Another Joe Biden stuff up, in my opinion. And I've seen a lot of news articles from the left kind of media saying that, no, it wasn't Joe Biden's fault. It's not Joe Biden's fault. It's not, but in reality it is. It's about the baby formula shortage there in America. Everything's shortage there. He's stuffed up every single step along the way. And it's just crazy how there's much less noise for him to get out of power than there was for Trump, even though he was running the country at the best it's ever been run in a very, very long time. And it was making our lives here in Australia easier. So that's the reason why I'm commenting on this right now. Operations Fly Formula begins shipping baby formula from Europe to US. A shipment of 78,000 pounds of baby formula arrived in Indianapolis. On Sunday, the first delivery from Operation Fly Formula, the Biden administration attempt to curtail the formula shortage. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack told reporters on Sunday that the shipment, which arrived in a military plane from Germany, contained a very specific and specialized formula for moms and dads who have children who have allergies where the regular formula just simply won't work. White House officials told CNN This is at least what I like about the site. They say it left bias that the first formula shipments would go to hospitals, doctors, home healthcare facilities, and pharmacies in regions where they need it most, are most acute. Discussing the shipment with CNN's State of the Union on Sunday, National Economical Council Director Brian Deasy called for more competition in the formula market so that no individual company has this much control over supply chains. Yes, well, what was Trump doing while he was in power? He was bringing jobs back to America, making things in America. As soon as Biden took over again, outsource. Every job, outsourcing again. Let's import everything. Let's outsource everything. Coverage was widespread and mostly balanced across the spectrum. Some coverage from the right, like in Washington Examiner, lean right bias, framed a story around the first shipment not going to stores. Celebrating the stuff when he stuffed it up is just hilarious. Same with, fuel prices. I bet you when the fuel prices start going down, he'll be like, oh, this was me who did this. But in reality, it was also him who's driven it this far up by shutting down pipelines and things like that. So I'll jump into the next one here. Just another one from the Biden administration. Federal judge blocks Biden administration from lifting Title 42. So, a federal judge on Friday blocked the Biden administration from lifting Title 42, the controversial pandemic era border policy that authorizes Border Patrol officials to turn back migrants at the US Mexico border from asking for asylum. The Biden administration announced plans to end the law in late March, citing guidance from the CDC that found the border policy no longer warranted in light of the current public health circumstances. Judge Robert Summerhays has ruled that the Public Health Association didn't seek comment from the public or consider the burden of healthcare costs that would assumably be placed on border states if more migrants tested positive for COVID-19. I mean, could imagine the amount of people that are trying to come over, and places like New Mexico, Texas, having to covering the costs in the medical system. It's insane. Just for COVID-19, and I mean, then there's everything else as well. Border Patrol agents encountered 234,000 migrants in April, and that's just the ones that they actually encountered. You could imagine how many people are crossing each month across the US border. It is just insane. In April, that were attempting to cross the border, according to recent data from DHS. That is just crazy. Left-rated outlets were more likely to emphasize that the controversial Trump-era border policy blocked immigrants' chance from making their cases, and cited human rights advocates who have found migrants often face abuse when they return to their home countries. I mean, that's none of America's business, is it? Like, what does it matter? Why should every country feel bad for someone trying to illegally come into a country? It's insane. By scrapping the border policy, which would lead to a flood of immigration that the administration is not equipped to handle. I mean, no country is equipped to handle these amount of people coming in all the time. And I mean, it's not just people from Mexico. This is people from El Salvador, from like the whole South America that are coming for that American dream. Even people from Africa, like literally going over to South America and then trying to cross through the border that way. So it's quite crazy just to see it. And yet again, this is another fudge up here by Biden's administration trying to lift it. I mean, America is, already not running well enough with the amount of people it has in the country, and now you want to add, let's say within a couple of months, there'll be 1 million people already. And if you lift that as well, even more people will come because they'll hear about it and they'll just pour through. The reason why I kind of just wanted to talk about it is just obviously how insane Biden is. It's just to say things like this could start a war about, we're going to militarily defend Taiwan. I bet you wouldn't even realize what he said. And that's the funniest thing, is that the White House secretaries, etc., always have to kind of run back what he says. And I don't think it's ever happened really as much as it has now to any president in the past. Because whatever happens whatever America pretty much gets dragged in, especially in the Asian corridor, us Australians are going to get dragged into it as well. So it is interesting to see these things, and also worrisome at the same time, because, yep, this guy is in charge of the current strongest nation in the world, which kind of makes your head scratch how someone like that can get there. But I digress. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like. Please subscribe if you do want to see future videos as well. I'll be obviously covering a big range of different articles, which are just quite interesting. Comment with your thoughts as well, or your opinions, and it's always interesting to see, what you guys are thinking. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.